Welcome. The global crisis continues to intensify in the strategic Pacific regions, with the challenging mountainous terrain and perilous 180-mile Taiwan Strait at the center of tensions. In these vital areas, marked by treacherous terrain and the narrow Taiwan Strait, the world's problems are escalating at an alarming rate. China persists in its attempts to invade Taiwan, leaving the international community on edge. China is gearing up for audacious amphibious operations in the region after demonstrating its resolve to seize Taiwan through aggressive military exercises. The US, allies, and other actors are vigilantly monitoring these efforts, unexpectedly attacking China's military drills and amphibious operations. Most recently, China took provocative action that highlighted the Chinese military's ambitions to showcase its naval might as a precursor to potentially taking control of the island. With the world's largest naval fleet already under its command, the Chinese military has constructed hundreds of dual-purpose ships that can serve in both peace and wartime. However, China has historically lacked robust amphibious warfare capabilities, a critical weakness. Acknowledging this deficit, China has taken startling measures to tighten its embargo against the island. The Chinese military began assembling an armada of ferries and civilian vessels, seemingly aimed at invading Taiwan, as Beijing's repressive campaign against the island republic intensified. While the Chinese lacked the traditional amphibious landing craft required for a full-scale assault akin to famous beach landings of past wars, they sought to bridge that gap with civilian ferries, including dozens of massive roll-on/roll-off ships. These ferries, each capable of transporting hundreds of armored vehicles, were strategically positioned around Taiwan in an apparent rehearsal for an invasion force presented to Beijing's leadership. However, such ambitious amphibious landings under fire have exposed China's overreach in its attempts to conquer the island. Civilian ferries are often ill-suited for such operations, but the Chinese military may be planning to use them for large troop movements across the Taiwan Strait after coastal defenses are neutralized or to overwhelm the island's military through sheer numbers. According to US studies, Beijing set technical requirements for shipbuilders a decade ago to ensure most civilian vessels could serve military purposes. This integrated China's ferries, tankers, and container ships into its military command system. State media has lauded these initiatives, frequently highlighting the participation of ships in foreign landing exercises, such as the use of the 135-meter Bangshu-Dao ferry in 2019 drills. The massive Changde-Long civilian ferry, large enough to carry tanks and heavy vehicles to fill 2 mechanized battalions, is viewed as a potential naval vanguard for amphibious operations against Taiwan. Analysts estimate that by 2022, China's civilian fleet could significantly increase the tonnage of military supplies transportable beyond current military amphibious assault ships, potentially giving China a staggering 300,000-ton carrying capacity. This capacity could enable the movement of large Chinese military forces and equipment across the Taiwan Strait within about 10 days, a sobering prospect. While the notion of repurposing passenger ferries for warfare may seem bizarre, it underscores the profound integration of China's commercial sector with the ruling Communist Party's military policies and ambitions. As such, military experts assert that intelligence agencies must monitor China's large civilian shipping as intensely as naval vessels, complicating defense planning immensely. This broader military-civilian fusion concept, where civilian assets naturally contribute to national security efforts, underpins China's strategy, according to Professor Alessio Patalano, an expert on war and strategy in East Asia. While it is difficult to assess whether the movements of a passenger ferry are part of preparations for war, it is important to emphasize that China's larger aims are evident, Patalano warns. So what military countermeasures are Taiwan, the US, and other regional players adopting to offset the risks posed by China's potential amphibious invasion? In response to China's ferry mobilization toward Taiwan, the island's foreign ministry has urged Beijing to exercise restraint and cease actions that undermine peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait and beyond. Taiwan has also called on the international community to address China's threatening maneuvers. A significant recent development saw the US and the Netherlands join forces through bilateral exercises in the South China Sea to reduce tensions and counter China's aspirations to attack Taiwan. This formidable combined flotilla, including U.S. Navy vessels like the USS Mobile Littoral Combat Ship and the USNS Wally Schirra cargo ship, alongside the Royal Netherlands Navy frigate Hilmstrom, delivered a powerful deterrent message. These bilateral operations between the U.S. 7th Fleet and Dutch forces provided an invaluable opportunity to rehearse complex scenarios that enhance joint preparedness and interoperability among allies. The U.S. Navy routinely conducts large-scale maritime exercises and operations with partners to foster coordinated operations that bolster deterrence, improve interoperability, and demonstrate shared resolve. As the largest forward-deployed U.S. fleet, the 7th Fleet frequently engages with allies and partners to uphold an open and free Indo-Pacific, a prospect that looms large for China. Chinese concerns, however, extend beyond U.S. and Dutch naval might. Japan has also emerged as a nation firmly opposed to Beijing's military ambitions and organization regarding the potential invasion of Taiwan. Despite China's unease over U.S. support for Taiwan from the Philippine Sea, Japan's announcement of active involvement in countering Beijing's invasion plans has added further apprehension. For the first time, Japan's self-defense forces will participate in the U.S. military's Valiant Shield exercise, parts of which will be conducted in Japan, according to Japanese Defense Minister Minoru Kihara. Officials have provided additional details, with the Joint Staff Office of Japan's Defense Ministry stating that Valiant Shield 2024 will primarily take place across 5 regions: JSDF facilities, U.S. military installations and territories in Japan, and surrounding waters and airspace, the maritime area from Japan to the Philippines, Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam in Hawaii, and Andersen Air Force Base in Guam, and surrounding waters and airspace, the Northern Mariana Islands, and Palau. Japan's defense ministry claimed that more than one like-minded country would join the wide-ranging exercise, but participation would occur in locations beyond Japan. Matsushima Air Base and Iwo Jima are believed to be crucial for the self-defense forces to enhance joint operational capabilities and strengthen the deterrence and responsibilities of the Japan-US alliance amid an increasingly severe security environment surrounding Japan, with the United States as a key partner. Apart from Japan, the Philippines is also highly vigilant against China's menacing regional policies. The Philippines controls 9 outposts in the Spratly Islands, a contested archipelago in the heart of the South China Sea. The submerged reef known as the Second Thomas Shoal has become a deadly flashpoint, with Chinese vessels repeatedly attempting to impede Manila's efforts to resupply its forces there. The Philippines military supplies the barque Sierra Madre, a decaying ship with a small troop contingent that a former administration grounded in 1999 to assert the country's claim. China, which also stakes a claim to the shoal, initially began interfering with these resupply operations in 2014, but maritime tensions between the two countries have never been as intense as in the past 7 months. Chinese vessels now frequently ram or fire water cannons at Philippine supply ships. As Manila has a mutual defense treaty with Washington, this escalating maritime dispute is part of the broader geopolitical struggle between the U.S. and China. Consequently, the Philippines is calling for a halt to China's provocative actions to ease regional tensions. Australia has also voiced objections to China's stringent embargo against Taiwan. Last Saturday, Australia accused a Chinese fighter jet of releasing flares in the direction of a Navy helicopter over international waters in the Yellow Sea. The Chinese fighter was witnessed releasing flares approximately 300 meters in front of and 60 meters above the Seahawk helicopter, conduct that Prime Minister Anthony Albanese labeled utterly reprehensible. The Australian MH-60R Seahawk helicopter was on patrol enforcing United Nations sanctions against North Korea at the time of the incident. Canberra's Department of Defense reported no damage or injuries were reported. However, the flares could have caused the helicopter to crash if they struck and damaged the rotor blades or entered the engines. The U.S. Department of Defense added that the action threatened the lives of the helicopter crew, leading Australia to urge China to refrain from such threatening and dangerous maneuvers in the region. In summary, practically the entire globe is alarmed by China's policies to conquer Taiwan. While the U.S. Department of Defense has stated that China will not succeed in this endeavor, it is expected that the U.S. and its coalition partners will continue working toward the elimination of this invasion threat. However, there is a prevailing sentiment that significantly more restrictive measures are needed to deter China's actions against Taiwan. Among these potential restrictive actions, an increase in economic sanctions against China is foreseen, as it is expected that economic battles will come to the forefront much more prominently in the future as the decisive factor in conflicts on multiple fronts. Thank you for following this report. If you found this video informative, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more geopolitical analysis and updates on the escalating tensions in the Pacific region. We wish you all the very best and hope for a peaceful resolution to these rising global crises.